Alright, I'm going to show you how to replace a 0405 stock TRX carb with a flat side FCR carb. So, like everything here, I've got some things loose, but just to show you, take the gas tank off, and I've got the air box. Actually, I don't run an air box on my machine, but you can get a glimpse at the carb there. I already have the cables loose, got that stuff out, so we're just going to pull the carb out and give you a quick show of the difference between the stock and the FCR carb. So here is basic differences between the two. What I've got here is a 07 TRX carb that we're going to install. And you can see probably the biggest thing with it is this upper portion right here sticks up quite a bit more than on the stock side, so that's going to cause some issues, but we'll show you how to deal with that. The other thing is the stock carb, besides all the linkages and everything, has a butterfly in it that actuates and a round slide in it that moves. The flat slide carburetor, as you probably can guess from the name, all it has is a, well, tough to see here, but just a flat slide is the only thing. So once that's opened, you get much better throttle response. So that's the starting point. Next thing I'm going to do is mount in the carburetor and try to get some space for this. I'll show you that in a minute. One other thing I'll show is that the outlet side, being, yes, the outlet side hooking onto your airbox on the stock, is quite a bit larger than the FCR. So DASA gives the option of purchasing one of these billet adapters, and what that'll do is fit right onto the nozzle. There needs to just be a little bit of grinding around the edge here, and this will fit on there nice and rounded out smooth and get us to the same size as the stock one, so then we can mount from there. So that's kind of where we're at for right now. Let me get the carb new one mounted in, and I'll show you where this is a problem and how to fix it. Alright, so I've got the carb mounted in, and as you can see, if your setup is like mine in an 0405, you have the tank rubs on these two spots right here, and as you can see with the carburetor in there, and this area right here is too high, so some guys will cut this off, and there's actually not a whole lot in there, so that would be one option, to cut it off. The other option that I prefer, and let me just get the tank up here real quick, sorry about that, is, let me try to get some light in here. We are going to, let's see, yeah, there it is right there. So the top of the carb, you can see hitting on that bump right there. We're actually going to heat up the tank. That's the only thing that's keeping us from it, right there. We're going to actually heat up the tank, and boy, I wonder if you can almost see the issue. So you can see it's about an inch away right now. So a little finagling, I'm not exactly in place, but nonetheless, that is the issue, is that bump hitting the top of the carb. We're going to heat up the tank with a heat gun and then mold that into place. So that's where we're at for right now. Alright, here we are back again. So you can probably see I made the outline of the carburetor. So I mounted the front screws in, pushed down on the tank, and surprisingly, this pad here is probably a 1/4 inch away when the new carb is in. So I put a highlighter in and just kind of marked where this general area where we're going to heat it up, and then make some more clearance. So kind of away and thinner down is the area. So yeah, I haven't really done this part before, so we're going to give it a shot with the heat gun and see what happens. Alright, so here's the tank. So I just used for a heat gun, just to go back to this, just your standard like 2-speed, whoop, excuse me, 2-speed heat gun to heat up the plastic. It was only like $19 at a hardware store, so not a huge investment. Probably use it for other things anyhow. And then, as I showed you before, if I could get this thing to stay, sorry about that. Once the plastic got melted or soft enough, then I used like a screwdriver like this and just the end of it, and just like forced a stretch on the plastic. And not the prettiest, there's a wrinkle in there, which I did notice as I heated and then it relaxed. There was a wrinkle that formed in the plastic, but it might look on video worse than it is, but it is purely just a wrinkle. So at the end of it now, I've got a around a probably 1.5 to, excuse me, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of gap by the carb. So mission accomplished on that one. A couple things here, I'll show you real quick how soft, with a little bit of heating with the gun, how soft the tank has gotten. And then we'll mold it in. Alright, I know this might be a little bit tough to see, but we'll get up in there. Got it heated up, and as you can see now, we have a significant amount of room around the tank, especially up at that top section. So I've got the tank mounted, the straps on, and from what I can see, there's still easily a 1/2 inch of space, so as you land on the front of that seat at any point and the tank comes down, because it's got some cushion in it, it still is going to have more than enough space. So carb is in, I've got the space, the tank. I'll pop the tank back out and show you what the bottom of that looks like. Okay, we'll give it a shot.
The way I hurt myself again just to get back at you.
Alright, so here we are back. Did a couple things, just kind of get you up to speed. So last night I actually put the DASA adapter on the carb. So like I said, there was a ring around that inlet that needed a slight amount of grinding. And then this adapter fit on really well. So all I did, and what DASA even says, is use JB Weld. I have some mixed up there. Put it around the inside of the adapter, and then I used hoses, and I stuck a little bit of blue tape around it. And if you can imagine, when this was dry, these were slid all the way down in, one for each one. And then I slid the adapter over the hoses and then pulled them out. And the reason I did that is so I don't get the epoxy down inside those two jets, and also help me align the holes. So kind of a twofer there that hit. So I did that. Let it sit over. It's been like 16 hours now. Attached really well. The inside of the bore is really good. And we're ready for install. So I'm going to get it in the rig right now. Okay, a couple things here. We got the carb mounted in, actually mounted up very securely. You'll probably notice that there is an extra connection. So there's a throttle position sensor on this 07 carb that matches my stock one. So throttle position. And then there's, I think it's a wide open throttle sensor that probably the later models have. And you can see that that fits into the side cover here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut those wires off. I'll leave it, cut it on the far side of the boot here so that it stays watertight. Pretty simple and straightforward on the throttle. Give it a hit here. Looks like we're good there. And then the only other one I have left over is my hot start, which the O7s or O6 and newer. My understanding is none of them have a hot start. So I have a perch with a hot start on it. I'm just going to leave the cable in, probably just zip tie it down here in case something ever we decide to change along the way. Other than that, I have throttle adjustment, which I notice fits in pretty good here. I should be able to reach it underneath here, so you can see I just stuck it through that hole. And I'm going to put the cover back on and then mount the tank up. Alright, so here's the final product. I got the carb in. A little bit of an issue. I have a leak coming from the inlet, and I don't know, I think that's probably the carburetor. I think there's like an O-ring in here. I'll have to pull it apart, so I do have a slight drip that I've picked up. Other than that, I'll fire it up for you. The awesome thing about this setup is that it has the squeak, or the chirp. So overall, pretty successful. I hope you have as good luck installing yours as I did on mine. Thank you.